The WNBA is going to surpass the NBA in terms of domestic relevance.
Wow, wow, wow. The Indiana Fever have traded NaLyssa Smith and got Sophie Cunningham in a three-way trade.
All right, so boom. If you're a WNBA fan, you already know things have been getting spicy in Indiana. The Fever, who have been stuck in rebuild mode for what feels like forever, finally decided they're done playing around. They've got Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, so they're all about winning now, which meant they had to make some tough decisions. And one of those decisions, shipping NaLyssa Smith off to the Dallas Wings.
I would just say, playing with confidence, just giving what the defense gives me, driving. One of my main things was just getting to the basket a lot more this year. And like I said, with such great players, it spreads the floor for me, so I have the opportunity, to drive, to shoot. So it's my main focus.
Now let's keep it real. This move wasn't exactly shocking, but the way it went down, the subtle jabs, the drama, yeah, it definitely gave us something to talk about. So let's break it all down. Why did Indiana move on? Why did Smith take a shot at the Fever on her way out? And is this actually a W for Indiana, or did they just hand Dallas a major steal? Let's get into it. NaLyssa Smith was supposed to be the one for Indiana. Back in 2022, when the Indiana Fever took NaLyssa Smith with the number 2nd overall pick, it felt like they had just found their franchise cornerstone.
How about NaLyssa Smith and the way she has come back in the starting lineup, playing very well?
She was coming out of Baylor looking like a beast, averaging a double-double and dominating on the boards.
Smith hitting from three. Second three of the game for NaLyssa Smith. Smith on the move. Push shot is good.
Her rookie year? Solid. She put up 13 points per game and 8 rebounds per game, showed flashes of greatness, and made it clear that she could be one of the best young forwards in the league. At that point, the Fever were still a mess. Let's call it what it was. They were in full-blown rebuilding mode, cycling through players, coaching changes, and trying to find an identity post-Tamika Catchings. So Smith was supposed to be part of that foundation they'd build around. And for a while, it seemed like she might be. But then, things changed. Fast forward to 2024, and suddenly, the Indiana Fever weren't just rebuilding anymore. They were on a mission. Enter Caitlin Clark, the most hyped-up rookie in years. The moment Indiana got the number 1 pick, it was obvious that Clark was coming, and the franchise was about to rebrand itself. With Clark running the show, Aaliyah Boston already looking like a future superstar, and Kelsey Mitchell still getting buckets, the Fever had to start making moves that made sense for the team's future.
What have you thought of Caitlin so far playing with her for a few practices?
Man, she's insane. Like, you could just tell, there's no hype behind what everybody be saying. That girl could really play. She could shoot. She could pass the hell out the ball. So, I got to get in shape to keep running so I can get my little layups. But nah, she's nice.
And the harsh reality? NaLyssa Smith wasn't fitting into the new system. It wasn't that she was bad. She was still a solid player. But her numbers were dipping. 10.6 points per game, 7.1 rebounds per game. Her efficiency wasn't great, and her game wasn't evolving the way the Fever needed. NaLyssa Smith's biggest challenge in Indiana was her fit within the modern WNBA. In today's game, forwards need to space the floor and knock down threes. But Smith wasn't a consistent outside shooter, which made it harder for her to thrive alongside Aaliyah Boston. Defensively, while she had the athleticism, she wasn't always giving the Fever what they needed on that end, struggling with positioning and consistency. On top of that, instead of complementing Boston, their skill sets often overlapped, which limited the team's overall effectiveness. With Indiana shifting toward a more structured floor spacing system, Smith just didn't fit the direction they were heading in. So what happens when you have a young team, a superstar rookie, and a forward who isn't meshing well? You make a trade. And that's exactly what they did. Indiana sent NaLyssa Smith to Dallas in exchange for Sophie Cunningham, a gritty three-point sniper who fits this new-look Fever squad perfectly. Let's talk about why this was a smart move for Indiana. Shooting, and more shooting. Cunningham is a career 38% three-point shooter, which is exactly what you need next to Caitlin Clark.
I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. I would love to play with her one day, for real.
Toughness and experience. Cunningham has been in big moments. She's played in playoff games and knows what it takes to win. Better spacing equals better offense. With Cunningham in the mix, defenses can't just collapse on Clark and Boston. From the Fever's perspective, this was a no-brainer. Instead of waiting to see if Smith could adjust, they flipped her for someone who fits right now.
What the Indiana Fever have pulled off this offseason, Sophie Cunningham, a real basketball player who is an Instagram model.
But for Smith? Whew. Let's talk about how she took the news. Some players take trades professionally. They say it's part of the business and keep it moving. NaLyssa Smith? Yeah, not so much. Right after the trade went down, Smith went on Instagram and changed her bio to say, "To play for an organization that believes in me." Ouch. That's not even shade. That's a full-on solar eclipse. Clearly, she felt disrespected by how things ended in Indiana. And to be fair, if you go from being a franchise cornerstone to getting traded 2 years later, you're gonna feel some type of way. But at the same time, was she wrong? The Fever did believe in her at first. They gave her every chance to prove she could be that player for them. But basketball is about fit, and sometimes things just don't work out. So, while her comment was a little spicy, it's also understandable. For Indiana Fever, this is a huge W. They're trying to build a championship-caliber team, and Cunningham is a perfect fit for what they're trying to do. Clark needs shooters? Check. They need defense and toughness? Check. This trade makes them better right now, which is exactly what they needed. For Dallas, this is a gamble, but it could pay off. Dallas already has a stacked front court with Satu Sabali and Tiara McCowan, but Smith gives them another athletic forward who can crash the boards and run the floor. If she develops a consistent jumper and locks in defensively, this trade could look like a steal in a couple of years. But that's a big if. The revenge game is going to be crazy.
The Indiana Fever have traded NaLyssa Smith and got Sophie Cunningham in a three-way trade. And boy, do I want to talk about it.
You already know the first time Smith and the Wings face Indiana, it's going to be personal. Will Smith go off and prove the Fever wrong, or will Indiana's new squad run Dallas off the court? Either way, this trade just made the WNBA even more interesting, and we're all here for it. The Fever are officially done with the rebuild. They're building a winning team right now. Moving on from NaLyssa Smith was a bold move, but it's one that makes perfect sense.
I'm extremely excited for this opportunity. I promise you, Dallas, you won't regret this. That is fine. It's fine to just say that. Not to play for an organization that believes in me. Because they clearly don't. They clearly don't.
As for Smith, she's got a fresh start in Dallas, and now it's up to her to show Indiana what they're missing. One thing's for sure, the WNBA just got even more fun to watch.